Hello everyone! So, I was not expecting to make this video so soon, as the album I'm about to talk about is actually part one of a two-part album, or two separate albums that are being combined into one. You could consider it a side A and a side B. And that is the artist Marina, formerly known as Marina and the Diamonds, the Welsh/Greek artist, that was going to release the full album titled Love and Fear on April 26th. But since she had already been releasing singles off of the first half of the record, which is the love side of the record, I'm going to call it Love Side A for reference, she decided to release it 3 weeks in advance, the first half, even though we'd already gotten several singles off of it. I have already talked about two of the songs off of this part of the record, Handmade Heaven and Orange Tree, so I won't spend so much time talking about them in this video, but I'll link those in the description. But I decided that these two bodies of work should be consumed separately before being put together, that I would review the first half before I waited until the end of April to review the Fear side. So today we are all about love, and although Marina has prefaced this by saying that just because this side of the album is called Love, it does not mean that there might not be darker elements underneath, and just because the second half of the record is called Fear, that there is absolutely no hope or light whatsoever to be found in the lyrics on that side. She is making us aware that there is darkness in love and there is light in fear, which is a very wise and very interesting kind of dichotomy that she's exploring here. And I am very excited, but also I must admit I'm a little more excited for the Fear side, just because I feel like that's still kind of a little bit where I am in my life. And I do, like I said in my Orange Trees video, feel as though I would have flipped the order and I would have started out with some of the more negative stuff, because usually I feel like it's good to start with that and then end on a lighter note, but instead we're doing things the other way around. But, you know, if you look at some of her records, that actually kind of is the way her albums go. They usually start out pretty happy, and then, like, literally her last record had a song called Happy as the first track, and then the last song was a kind of mournful, melancholic lament about death and mortality, and it was like, we're getting kind of negative at the end here. So it was like, we end on, like, and Electra Heart was similar. So Marina is opening up with Handmade Heaven with Love. I cannot stop coming back to this track. I think it's iconic. I think it's one of the strongest tracks that we have heard so far from Love and Fear. I still have to be completely honest with you. I just think it has the best hook. I think it has the best production. I think it just, I don't know, maybe it was the music video, but it just feels the most airy and light. And I think it embodies the idea of love in maybe not the strongest way, but like the most beautiful way. And I just can't help but like think of that as like the song holding the rest of this mini album together. I'm gonna be completely honest with some of you. I know like a lot of Marina fans are like raving about this new body of work. I have some negative things I'm gonna be saying about some of these songs, and I don't like that, but it's just the map. It's just, I have to be honest. I have to be real. So let's talk about Superstar. So Superstar is a song that was released as the second single. I never really made a video on it because I was going to wait until the album, and here we are. So I love this song. I think that it is most reminiscent to her Electra Heart era in terms of sound. It has this power behind it, and it has a little bit of the diva coming through again, I think, in her delivery. It's got a little bit of angst to it, even though this is on the love side, so we're supposed to be really positive. And I think she takes the spin of something that could be just a classic love song, You're My Superstar, and she makes it kind of like ominous. It's a little sexual. Before I met you, I pushed them all away. Soon as I kissed you, I wanted you to stay. What I like about you is you know who you are. What you like about me is I know what I'm not. I really like that lyric. And I know that you never sleep, so impossible to dream when you're far away from me. I'm all you could ever need, so impossible to breathe. I love the way we work so hard, we've come so far. Look at me, you're my superstar. When I'm afraid, when the world's gone dark, come and save my day. You're my superstar. Gets a little generic in terms of the lyrical content here, but that's where the song just really starts to pick up, and it has this like infectious groove and beat to it. The production is pretty interesting. So I would say that that's where the song kind of goes more in that direction and kind of just becomes about that and not so much about lyrics or meaning. But it's a bop. I'm not going to deny it. It's something I would love to dance to. At first, it took me a little while to get used to the ooh, ooh, oohs because they felt like a little haphazard in terms of melody, but you just get used to it and it kind of grows on you. So I would say this is definitely a grower. Orange Trees is a summery Greece on the seaside homage to her heritage on her father's side. It's probably the most infectious, the most bubbly, the most love song on this record. And I've already discussed how I feel. I don't know if it's necessarily the most memorable in terms of the sonics of it, but I appreciate the infectious attitude and the feel of it. Everything kind of comes together in this juicy little package. It does remind me a little bit of Fruit, and I just think it's a song that she needed to make. It feels like it's authentically her, and you can feel how happy and free and liberated she is delivering this song. Then we have the song Baby, which is actually a Clean Bandit song that she is featured on along with the Spanish or Latin artist Louis Fonsi. So I don't really consider this her song. I consider it a song that's Clean Bandits, the UK electropop group. It was featured on their last album, which came out in November. I forget what that album was called already, but we'd already heard it a while ago. I get why she's including it on this record, and I definitely get why it's in the first half of this record. It's a very unapologetic Latin-infused pop song with like the budding romance feel. Her lyrics and her vocals come off very sugary sweet and inviting. It's a very fun, carefree song that is great to dance to. And I love the Latin inflections, so I have nothing bad to say about it. Otherwise, the only thing I would say is that I don't really consider it a part of this album. That's the only thing I would be like, I have it already kind of under another album. So anyway, so now we get to the new songs, the 4 new tracks that we hadn't heard up until a couple days ago. Enjoy Your Life. Lyrically, this is a sentiment that I need. I don't know how you could kind of try and grill this kind of concept into my head before I'll ever get it. But I feel like Marina's directly talking to me in this song because I really do need to be enjoying my life more. There's been some stuff going on just like with my anxiety and my depression recently and turning 26 and like all these things that have been really tough to deal with recently. And this concept of like being so optimistic about the way and the direction your life is going and just like letting go of like all this negativity is just something that I'm like, gosh, I really wish. But like I can get there. Like, and I don't have to work so hard, like it's not so far away. This idea of feeling as though your life is finally what you want it to be. And so, like I said, it feels as though right from the beginning, she's speaking right to me. I know you've been feeling stuck, feeling low. Girl, you don't even know the beginning of that. You can't see how good this life can be. Looking to the future like it's going to make you happy, save you from reality. Imagine the worst like it's going to end so badly. Sit back and enjoy your problems. Sit back and enjoy your problems. You don't always have to solve them. Very true. Because your worst days, they are over. So enjoy your life. Yeah, you might as well accept it. Don't you waste your time regretting it. Because your worst days, they are over. So enjoy your life. Because your worst days, they are over. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if I actually believed that? The pragmatic side of my brain is like, that's cute. You keep believing that. You keep believing that your worst days are over and that it's all sunflowers and daisies going forward. I'm afraid there's just like this pragmatist in my brain that is always going to be glass half empty, that's always going to struggle to just get to a neutral position. And it's never going to be that positive about things. It's always going to be like, well, don't get too excited, because this can happen, and there's very good chances of this happening, and blah, blah, blah. And this song is fighting against that so ferociously, like very aggressively optimistic. I would consider it that. And there's parts of me that are like, I don't know, it's like a little too much. Like it's a little too optimistic. Like that's just not where my headspace is. And then I have to remember that this album is about duality. This album is about exploring the light and the dark. And that's what makes this so, I think, much more meaningful, is that Marina is aware that this is not that easy to attain. So that's why she's got in the album such positive moments and such low moments. And I'm really excited to hear the lower moments, the second half. But you've got to have that positive side. You can't just be all negative. That is not how you are supposed to live. That is not how a healthy brain should function. And you got to lean into this more. Like the idea and theme of just enjoying your life, believing that the worst is behind you, believing. It's all about belief, you know, and it's all about like faith in a way. And I've been very detached from faith and kind of an idea of spirituality. And this is where I could go on a huge tangent that has nothing to do with Marina. So I'm going to be very careful here. This is only 8 songs, but I can make this video into like a 50-minute thing very easily. So I have to be like more about that faith again, that like trust that and hope that things will work out in the end. And it's not going to go necessarily how you always think it's going to go. And that's okay. You don't have to solve all your problems, like, because that's just like constantly finding things that are wrong. Like, you just need to like let go and let the pieces kind of fall where they may. And like, that doesn't mean like necessarily like not do anything about anything anymore. Although that's also a tempting thing because it's like, okay, Marina, then like I'm just gonna like sleep forever, you know? Like, no. But it's about accepting that you can't control everything and not being like so hung up in the present moment about what could go wrong. But it's easier said than done, and especially where I am right now, in particular, like I have so many fears about like I feel as though maybe the best days of my life are behind me. You know, I'm not so young anymore, even though I am still very young, and I'm like very much like in my head about my own health and like my own well-being and my financial situation going forward. And am I going to get this job that I'm looking to get in a few years? Is that going to fall apart? And then relationships. Like I have this idealistic fantasy of what I want the next few years of my life to head towards in terms of a relationship, but it's like I can't completely control that. You know, I don't know who I'm going to match with on Tinder randomly one day. I can't control who I'm going to just randomly meet. You know, like I might not meet my soulmate for another 10 years. I may never meet someone who ticks all the boxes for me to be truly happy and content in a relationship because I know my standards. And that's something that I've really relearned recently in terms of like my relationships and stuff, like going forward with that. It's like, no, it's got to be that good. Otherwise, I don't want it. I don't want to settle for second best. I don't want to settle for something that's just, he's there, but he's not, you know, something I'm crazy about like that. I'd much rather be single. And so that is the sort of preoccupied negative worry that constantly gets in your head. And you really do just learn to stop taking for granted what you already do have in your life. Be grounded in that. Remember that there are so many positive things that you can look towards. Like it is so easy to look at the negative stuff. You have no idea. I wish this could be more profound. I feel like I'm just spouting out like optimistic mumbo jumbo. And that's possibly because I don't know, like Marina is being like, in the one hand, being profound and that she's being so aggressively optimistic. But on the other hand, I don't think it's very profound because it's just all about that optimism. And it's like, but wait, how do I deal with the negative stuff? Like, you can't just tell me things are going to be better and like leave it. Like, how are things going to be better, right? That's where you have to start looking at the other songs on this record because they tell you a little bit more about how that could be achieved. You know, Handmade Heaven is about creating a reality that you feel comfortable in and that you feel free in. Superstar is about that, you know, connection, about romance. Orange Trees is about finding, you know, peace in nature and then your natural environment and being at peace, not doing so much all the time and being so like stressed. You know, all of these songs have a bit of the puzzle that I think fits together. And so I can see what she's putting together mosaically on this record, and it's beautiful. Now let's talk about the sonics for a second. I think Enjoy Your Life is very bubblegum in its construction, and I think it's got an optimistic melody that is infectious. But I do think it's a little heavy hitting on the production, and the synths and everything just feel a little, I don't want to use the word unpolished, but there was something minimalistic about Fruit and very something that I think this is part of the problem. I've kind of like typecasted Marina and her sound, and I kind of expect every single song to sort of sound a little bit more like how Fruit sounded, and a few of the songs we've heard so far off of this record, and a few songs off Electra Heart. I still need to get into the Family Jewels. I've heard a few songs, but it's much more alt-rock and experimental. Very different from what she's doing now. And this song doesn't have the production that I'm used to expecting from her. This was produced by Oscar Halter and Ozgo. So yeah, I don't know if what they bring to the table is quite selling me. I feel like it's a bit heavy-handed, and I feel as though melodically something might be still a little bit missing for me in that I'm just used to a classic Marina sounding song. But, you know, I don't have such a hang up over it that I don't like the song. I just think there are songs that stand out more to me. Maybe because they just feel more familiar. Like they're they're a little bit more classic Marina. And that brings me to the next song, which is True. And I do think True is like a bridge between this song and the following one. In terms of the sonics, then True is just like a little stronger for me sonically. There's something very propulsive about this song. This feels like it's getting the energy building the right way. The flavors are just coming together more for me in this song. So it just works better sonically, even though it's still in a similar synth pop territory as To Enjoy Your Life, like especially with the chorus being not the most melodic, but being very much like heavy hitting production, and her vocals just piercing through that. This song is all about self-love and self-acceptance. Being true to yourself is the key to a happy life, a satisfied life, a fulfilling life. You can't let everyone else dictate what's good for you. They don't really have a clue. They like to tell you what they think, but it feels good to do the wrong thing. But listen to your own instinct. Don't give in to peer pressure. Don't give in to all of what's going on around you, because they can never do it better than you can. Like, you do you. Don't let other people do you, or don't let you do other people. Does that make any sense? So we're gonna stay true to ourselves. My favorite song that was released out of the 4 today is To Be Human. Sonically particularly, but also in the lyrics. And I think it's the most specific. Marina doesn't get so like anecdotal in a lot of these songs, but this song is like, whoa, it gets like very specific in certain moments. So this song is kind of like this beautiful tour of the world, right? And she's talking about the pagodas and the palaces, dressed in gold leaf, hide the damages. Spot the geisha as she balances. Life's a cakewalk full of challenges. And it's interesting because someone was like, if To Be Human is the love side, I don't want to know what the fear side is. Because To Be Human, to be honest, I see a lot of vulnerability in this song. I see a lot of darkness sort of brewing under the surface here that's being addressed. And that line is like very much more the kind of brain that I'm more used to kind of processing the world through. It's like life is beautiful and life is suffering at the same time. And it's this beautiful balance. And see the geisha, look at her, she's embodying that, right? Like, I think of the geisha as like this perfect metaphor for life in the way, because the geishas dress in such beautiful costume and makeup to look perfect, but they are constantly like struggling in a way, like they're being so perfect that it's painful. And much mental policing going on, and like behavioral policing. And be that as it may, that's a whole other video, but I think that's a beautiful representation of kind of how life can feel a lot of the time. Go to Russia, see the Red Square, Lenin's body lying dead there. Now that really was not something, I was like, whoa, Marina, where are we going here? Like, that was not what I was expecting. What's so positive about that? And so she's reflecting on different humans that and human experiences, feeling all of that energy all over the world. From Kyoto, Hiroshima, watch the black cloud crawling nearer. That's dark. I mean, referencing Hiroshima and a black cloud, I can sense that this song is getting close to the fear section, because we're starting to build up some of that darkness here. There were riots in America just when things were getting better. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes. Like, that's hard hitting. Doesn't it feel like that was the case? Like, and her song Savages, this song has a lot of parallels to that song in that it's discussing human behavior, Björk reference, in a sort of negative way. All the things I've done and seen, still I don't know what life means. Could this be a reference to a song that I'm very excited to hear, Life is Strange, which is on the second half of this record? All the people living in the world today, we're united by our love, we're united by our pain. All the things that I've done and seen, still I don't know what it means. And then she talks about flying to Athens, passing the Parthenon, see the village where her father is from, to Chicago from Angola. Who goes to Chicago from Angola? That is a very interesting flight. Sao Paulo to Verona, so Brazil to Italy. Anywhere you go, you'll see people are just like you and me. All the things we've done and seen, I still don't know what life means. So I think that she's taking a much more sort of Buddhist sort of sentiment here, in that she's not being so aggressively optimistic about things. She's being a little bit more like, I'm observing the world and I notice that there's pain and suffering, and there is light and beauty. I notice the things that unite us, and I notice the things that confuse us or divide us. And this time, when we're such a much global world, we feel so much more united than ever, but at the same time, politically and socially, there are all these things that are still like these huge walls that need to come down that, you know, because we're getting closer to that, they feel much more taut. They feel much more kind of like ready to explode. And I feel the tension in this song. And I think that tension is what she beautifully plays with. And this is the kind of thing that I'm much more kind of like on the same page with her about, because I'm like, I get this sentiment. Like I can fully marinate in the idea and the sentiment of this song without feeling a little too like that's a nice sentiment, but that's not realistic, right? So even though I really do believe this album is like very realist, like I don't think this album is talking about like things that aren't real. This album is so real, it's actually like crazy, right? So what does it mean to be human? Well, I definitely think traveling the world, a very great way to kind of understand that perspective of seeing all of the different ways we can be human and how different we all are and then how similar. And it's really exciting. I feel that in the way she like builds up the melody, and she has this like very beautiful melancholic tone to this whole song, where it's much more kind of minor key instead of major key. Like it's a very unique song, and sonically it's the strongest, I think, of the bunch, because it just packs all of that sort of melancholic, bubbly flavor that I was like loving on the Fruit album and maybe on songs like Handmade Heaven, for example. And it's packaging that in a song that is still very catchy. You could dance to it, but it's still also like a bit of a ballad, like it's very emotional. So she's checking all the right boxes for me, much more into this. So Joel Little, you did a really good job on this one. He's the producer for this song. All right, and then lastly, we have End of the Earth. Now, I gotta be honest, when I said that I had some negative things to say, I think that this is the moment where I do have a lot of trouble here, because sonically, this song is just not doing anything for me. This song is the beat structure is very cold. James Flanagan produced this one, so I don't know about you, James. If we're just talking about, like I said, the production and the construction of this song, the composition, it just feels very abrasive. I don't really vibe with it in the same way. The heavy-handed production is just like not working for me. But lyrically, there's a lot to unpack. This is a fitting, I think, closer to the love section, in that she's trying to describe what love is by saying love cannot be described. Love can never be what you want it to be, but I'd still follow you down slow motion to the edge of the world. We're all living in the same universe where the stars collide as the planets turn, but I'll give my life. I don't care if it hurts, because I'll love you till the end of the earth. Love is the ultimate driving force behind everything we do, and it's the thing we strive for, and when we find that real love, we'll do anything for it. And so it's the most high-reaching and esoteric song in terms of its subject matter, but I wish that the production matched the eerie sort of atmospheric, esoteric nature of the lyrics, because I feel like it's very, like I said, I think cold and uninviting is a good way to describe it. It's a contemplative song, and it has those key changes that I think add that extra flavor of like nuance, which I think the song needs. But like the backing production is just this like simple bass synth riff, and it's very monotonous, you know, and it doesn't really have any flavor or nuance to it. And so that's just where it kind of falls apart for me. Like I need more to be done with that. I don't know how else to better describe that to you, but I hope maybe people might understand. So yes, I'm not so crazy about End of the Earth, but To Be Human is definitely the one I come back to. That's the one I would, as you know, we know AJ would say, put a goddamn mark to it. Yeah, basically. And of course, I do love Handmade Heaven. That song is still always going to have a special place. But I'm really excited to hear the Fear side. I will film an entire video about that, obviously, when it comes out, April 26th. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the Love Side A of this record. Do you like the sort of progression and production style that she has from Fruit, or are you missing the Fruit sound, or do you miss the Electra Heart sound? Do you want her to go even more experimental? And the lyricism, are you on board with it? You want to philosophically pontificate? Feel free in the comments. There's lots to talk about there. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Please give it a like and subscribe if you did. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.
All the people